The domed stadium of Novaris Prime hovered like a crystalline eye above the rust-red expanse of its desert plains. From this vantage, sunlight fractured through the dome's nanoglass panels into kaleidoscopic shards of color that danced across the sands below. Centuries-old rumor claimed the dome was grown rather than built, an immense self-healing lattice of bioengineered crystal that could withstand twin solar flares. Inside, though, it was all cold metal and subterranean corridors, a labyrinth of service tunnels and holding cells that fed into the heart of the arena. Ava Drayan sat on a steel bench just outside the fighter's airlock, her hands resting on the control gauntlets strapped to her forearms. Each gauntlet, a sleek lattice of carbon titanium and neural feedback sensors, hummed faintly to life as the arena's electromagnetic field primed itself. She closed her eyes and extracted the familiar calm from deep within, picturing the instructor's hollow lectures on pressure point theory, balance disruption, and the subtle art of energy redirection. Behind her, the walls vibrated with cheers swelling to a fever pitch. Distant roars echoed through the vents, thousands of alien voices layered in harsh clicks, whistles, and low, throaty bellows. Between bouts, they had been chanting for Gorath, the Sandweaver champion whose crimson-armored strikes were legend. But now, anticipation sharpened. A human girl had volunteered to face him, a tiny, unseasoned fighter from Earth's remote colony world of New Terra. "Crazy," rasped a voice behind her. It was Jax Marr, the human delegation's combat liaison. His augmented ocular implants glinted under the fluorescent lights. "You know what they say. No one survives Gorath's gyral spin. He fractures bone with the centrifugal force alone." Ava forced a smile. "I know the odds." She flexed her fingers against the gauntlet's grips. "But I've been running simulations in zero-G. His spin's all momentum, if you catch it right." "Simulations only tell half the story," he warned, scanning the corridor for any sign of the reptilian champion. "Those claws don't follow the laws of physics. They follow tradition." Tradition. To most alien cultures, the arena was sanctified ground. Champions fought not just for bloodlust but to honor ancestral pacts. For some, victory meant divine favor. For others, it meant ransom paid in resources or hostages. Earth's champions were novelties. Novelty fights drew more credit in the galactic market than actual politics. A guard's hatch rattled open. Two sleek, cobalt-blue androids ushered Ava through a narrow corridor bathed in red-orange warning lights. The air grew drier, hotter. Sand drifted in through tiny grates, settling over every surface. Ahead, the domed gates to the pit gaped like a predator's maw. "Remember," Jax said, stepping close, "don't get caught in his reach, and if you can't take him down in the first 5 seconds, you're dead." She nodded, though she felt a flicker of irritation. He may have been right if measured in minutes, but her plan hinged on 3 seconds. 3 seconds to disrupt his center of gravity, 3 seconds to sever his momentum, 3 seconds to incapacitate him. It was all there in her neural implant, a perfect sequence of feints, strikes, and feedback pulses. The hatch shutters clanged shut behind her, and the corridor dissolved into darkness. A soft hiss announced her entrance into the arena proper. Spotlights snapped on, blinding her for a heartbeat. Then her vision adjusted, focusing on the swirling dust motes that floated in the orange light. Across the pit, Gorath's form emerged from a side tunnel. He stood over 8 feet tall, muscle rippling under thick crimson-scaled hide. His forearms bore curved obsidian claws, each as long as Ava's forearm. On his back, a fan of plated spines flexed in anticipation. The crowd's chanting crescendoed into a single unified pulse, rhythmic, almost ritualistic. Ava exhaled, letting go of every last shred of fear. She tapped her gauntlets once to engage the kinetic dampers inside. The metal beneath her fingers shifted subtly, tailoring itself to her neural patterns. She closed her eyes for a fraction of a second and mapped Gorath's center of mass in her mind. When the announcer's horn echoed, a deep metallic toad's call, Ava assumed her stance. Feet hip-width apart, weight forward, hands relaxed, but ready. Gorath lunged immediately, all 12 limbs in motion, 4 arms swinging, 8 legs, propelling him like a horrific insect. The first swipe tore a trench in the sand where Ava had stood moments before. She rolled to her left, sand spraying like orange mist. Her braid whipped around her head as she came up behind him. He snapped, his head over her shoulder, reptilian eyes flaring with rage. Instinct took over. She turned and planted a palm squarely against his forearm. The crack echoed, metallic, sudden, final. Gorath's claws paused midair. For an instant, time pooled between them, and the crowd's roar tapered into a collective gasp. That single slap, perfectly placed on a meridian node of muscle and bone, sent shockwaves through his armature. He staggered, first a hiccup in his charge, then a topple. 3 seconds, sunrise to sunset in a blink of an eye. Ava straightened, her chest heaving, and raised her head to meet the crowd's astonished silence. The sands of Navaris Prime had borne witness to countless legends, but none like this, and none that had fallen so quickly. Ava's palm hovered an inch from Gorath's forearm, muscles coiled beneath her gauntlet. The crowd's roar became a low, expectant hum, an alien thrumming that reverberated through her bones. In that breath's length, time snapped taut, like a drawn wire. Then her arm snapped forward. The impact rang out like a cannon blast. Gorath's forearms shuddered, his claws rattling against the bio-steel mesh of the dome. The entire arena shivered at the sound. For a heartbeat, silence fell, a pregnant void in which even the swirling dust motes seemed to pause midair. Then the crowd exploded. A thunderous cacophony of clicks, whistles, and guttural keens washed over the pit. From the galleries, tentacled, spectators beat their chests in shock. Bioluminescent fronds atop arboreal delegates flickered with outrage. Somewhere in the back, a consortium of insectoid nobles huffed in incredulous delight. Gorath teetered. His eyes, multifaceted and reptilian, blinked in slow disbelief. He had never before felt such a precise transmission of force. His armored scales buckled, tiny fractures spiderwebbing across his left arm. A fine mist of nanogel and blood speckled the sand. Ava didn't pause for celebration. In those broken 3 seconds she had rehearsed a dozen times, Stage 1 was complete. Now came Stage 2, the sequenced cascade of strikes that would finish the job before Gorath's muscle memory could re-engage. She darted forward, feet skimming the sand. Her right gauntlet's kinetic dampers shifted, storing micro-pulses of the arena's electromagnetic field. With each step, she felt the subtle thrum of stored energy, ready to augment her blows. Gorath tried to raise a second arm, but Ava's knee snapped forward like a steel trap, catching him just below the rib plating. The blow compressed his torso, rattling internal conduits. He gasped, a sound like cracking ice. Before he could regain posture, Ava spun on her heel. Her left elbow arced into his jaw, the gauntlet's reinforced edge biting into bone. A flash of light traced the strike, an afterimage etched by the gauntlet's plasma weave. Gorath's head snapped back, and a spray of crimson droplets glittered in the arena lights. She pressed the advantage. Planting a foot against his thigh guard, she vaulted up and brought her boot down onto his shoulder joint. Metal buckled beneath her weight, microservos and ligaments tearing. A resonant scream tore from Gorath's throat, an otherworldly bellow that sent a fresh wave of astonished gasps through the stands. In those same 3 seconds, she had moved with the grace of a dancer and the precision of a surgeon, every strike delivered at a pressure point she'd studied in holo lectures and combat sims. The electromagnetic coils in her gauntlets hummed louder now, siphoning energy to stabilize her form as Gorath's massive bulk shifted unpredictably. Finally, she pivoted away, swept her leg in a horizontal arc, and struck the back of his knee. The joint gave way with a sickening pop. Gorath collapsed, sand erupting beneath his weight, claws splaying as he tried to catch himself. But his armored plating, fractured and misaligned, buckled under even the slightest shift. He hit the ground, chest first, limbs akimbo. For a moment he lay still. 4 arms folded, 8 legs spread, head bowed. Then, slow as molten crystal, he tried to rise. His first groan carried a note of disbelief, of profound betrayal. How could this fragile human fling him down so easily? Ava stood 10 feet away, breathing steadily. Sand clung to her boots and braided hair. The gauntlets glowed faintly, indicators flickering between stabilized and shut off. She watched Gorath's chest rise and fall twice, then stop. Behind her, the announcer's voice crackled to life, trembling with excitement. Unprecedented. The human challenger has felled the Sandweaver champion in... His translator blinked. A moment, 3 seconds flat. The crowd surged, an ocean of noise that threatened to lift the dome itself. Ava let her arms drop, limbs trembling with the aftershock of adrenaline. She bowed her head in respect to the fallen champion, honoring the sacred code that even victors must acknowledge their foes. Gorath, still sprawled in the sand, raised a single clawed hand. His gaze, once predatory, now shone with something akin to respect. He tapped the ground 3 times, a ritual sign of concession. Ava exhaled a long, controlled breath. The gauntlets powered down with a soft click. As the gate's shutters hissed open to haul Gorath away, she realized the significance of that single slap. It wasn't just a triumph of speed or strength, it was a declaration. Humanity would never be underestimated again. Ava's chest still heaved from the exertion as the sandsweepers cleared Gorath's body from the pit. Above the roar of the crowd, a trio of ornately robed figures drifted down the ramp, emissaries of the Interstellar Council, their robes shimmering with shifting sigils. At their center strode Senator Mistral, tall and regal, her turquoise skin crisscrossed by silver filigree tattoos that pulsed faintly like living circuitry. An airlock hissed open to admit them into the arena proper, and the spotlights shifted, to bathe the dais in brilliant white. Jax Mar offered Ava an encouraging nod. She rose from the sand and climbed the steps, each footfall echoing through the suddenly hushed stands. As she reached the top, the senator extended a slender hand. Champion of Earth, Mistral intoned, her voice amplified by the arena's acoustics. Today you have not merely defeated Gorath, you have shattered our assumptions. In 3 seconds you proved that ingenuity and spirit can outmatch tradition and raw power. A murmur ran through the alien spectators, some in awe, others in reluctant admiration. The senator produced a crystalline medallion, its surface etched with the council's emblem, a trio of interlocking rings. A hidden mechanism snapped open, revealing a tiny vial of violet luminescent nectar. With this, Mistral said, affixing the medallion to Ava's gauntlet strap, you bear both our respect and our charge. Drink, and you will carry the council's blessing against fatigue. Ava uncorked the vial and tasted the nectar, cool and electric like starlight condensed. She felt strength surge through her limbs, steadying her pulse. Mistral gestured to the outer corridors where a series of transparent hollow screens displayed incoming transmissions. Earth's delegates aboard Mars Station, ambassadors of the Emberine, Federation, and even the silent watchers of the Voidborn Recollectives. The Triune Summit convenes in 72 standard hours, the senator continued. Your victory has earned you an invitation and a responsibility. We request that you lead Earth's envoy. Ava swallowed. The weight of their gaze pressed on her. Tentacles of insectoid merchants, feline-eyed nobles, towering cephalons, whose expressions remained unreadable. She glanced back at Jax, who gave her a firm nod. Steeling herself, she addressed the council. I will go, she said, voice steady. But I ask for a seat at the table equal to every other representative. Mistral's lips curved. Your terms are fair. You'll speak on Earth's behalf and we will listen. She turned to her companions, and 2 hollow displays materialized beside them. One detailing medical nanobot patents, the other outlining New Terra's prototype terraforming matrix. These are your bargaining chips, Mistral explained. Use them wisely. As the emissaries faded back through the airlock, the gates to the pit opened once more. The crowd surged forward, chanting Ava's name in a dozen tongues. She raised her hand in acknowledgement, letting the moment wash over her. This was not triumph in the arena. It was the dawn of a new role, where words and diplomacy would be the weapons and alliances the battlefield. When the final cheers subsided, Ava lingered at the dais' edge. Below her, the amber sands lay, undisturbed. She pressed a fingertip to the medallion's cool surface and whispered, "For Earth." In that instant, she vowed to carry the lessons of 3 seconds of combat into every negotiation to come. The true fight had only just begun. The airlock slid open with a soft hiss, admitting Ava into the gleaming plenary hall of Orbital Station Orion III. Hundreds of delegates sat in tiered seating that spiraled upward like the rings of a colossal shell. Holographic banners glimmered, overhead each emblazoned with Ava's image and the legend, "Human girl slays champion in 3 seconds." The light refracted through them in shifting rainbows, bathing the chamber in prismatic hues. She paused at the base of the dais, inhaling, slowly. Behind her, Jaxmar adjusted the collar of her dark diplomatic uniform, earth-brown leather trimmed in silver circuitry. Across the summit floor, representatives from the Jiraki Coalition, Emberine Federation, and Voidborn Recollectives watched with inscrutable expressions. Between them, clusters of smaller delegations from minor worlds whispered eagerly, their myriad languages weaving a living tapestry of anticipation. When the summit chair, a towering cephalon named Ambassador Sir Lee, gavelled to order, silence fell. Ava stepped forward, gauntlets concealed beneath her sleeves but still humming faintly with the council's blessing. Sir Lee's multifaceted eyes rotated in greeting. "Champion Ava Drayan of Earth," he intoned, "we welcome you to the Triune Summit. Your victory on Novaris Prime has rippled through every system. Speak now, that we may know Earth's stance." Ava raised her chin. She glanced first at the Emberine delegates, sleek serpentine beings whose emerald scales caught the light, then at the Jiraki, whose armor plates glinted like dark obsidian. Finally, she met the gaze of the Voidborn, silent, cloaked figures whose hollow visages were rumored to conceal ancient artificial intelligences. "My thanks," she began, voice clear. "Earth comes seeking partnership, not dominance. We offer our terraforming matrices to heal dying worlds, and our medical nanobots to combat galactic plagues. In return, we ask only for fair access to resources and shared research." As she spoke, 2 hollow panels flickered to life at her sides, one showing verdant fields sprouting in once barren moons, the other microscopic machines repairing tissue in real time. A murmur rippled through the hall. The Emberine whispered approval. After all, they had battled ecological collapse on their homeworld. The Voidborn nodded once, imperceptibly. But at the far end, the Jiraki delegate, tall, angular, draped in spiky pauldrons, rose with a contemptuous hiss. "Promises and pictures," he sneered. "We demand proof of goodwill. We will not trade with Earth unless we are assured your technology is not a Trojan horse." He swept a clawed hand toward her. "Why should we not suspect you of embedding backdoors of spying?" Ava felt the heat of 1,000 eyes, but her voice remained steady. "Because Earth knows what isolation brings. My people survived centuries of resource wars by forging alliances. Our technology carries no subterfuge. Its source code is open source, accessible to any who ask. Check it yourselves." She tapped a panel on her sleeve. Instantly, source logs and encryption keys cascaded across the holoscreens in real time. Layers of data streamed in transparent windows. The Jiraki's lips curled in displeasure, but, before he could retort, Ambassador Sir Lee raised a slender limb. "Order," he commanded. "Let the Council's engineers verify the code. Meanwhile, let us proceed to the working sessions." Delegates divided into discussion pods. Ava joined the circle with Emberine envoys, where debates flared over planetary water rights. She listened more than she spoke, deftly weaving in examples of New Terra's hydro-capture systems and offering joint venture proposals. Jax floated beside her, translating technical terms into galactic common with practiced ease. Hours slipped by in negotiation. Twice the Jiraki Coalition tried to stall proceedings, demanding additional security measures. Twice the Voidborn and Emberine rebuffed them, citing the urgency of famine relief on the outer colonies. By the final recess, an agreement in principle had formed. a three-party treaty to pilot Earth's terraforming tech on a dying emberine moon, using shared oversight from all three blocks. As the summit reconvened, Sir Lee announced the preliminary accord. Applause rippled unevenly, enthusiastic among the emberine, cautious among the Jiraki, respectful among the Voidborn. Ava's heart thumped as she rose. "This is only the beginning," she said. "Let our success on Novaris Prime serve as a reminder. Swift, decisive action can reshape destinies, whether in 3 seconds of combat or 3 days of diplomacy." A hush fell, then snowballed into genuine, if guarded, applause. The hollow banners overhead shifted to display the treaty's emblem, 3 rings intertwining around Earth's crest. Ava allowed herself a small, triumphant smile. Later, as twilight spilled across Orion III's observation deck, Ava gazed at the distant curve of a blue-green world. Jax joined her, handing over a mug of warm spiced tea. "You did it," he said softly. She turned, eyes shining. "We did it," she corrected. "And if 3 seconds can change a fight, imagine what 3 days, and true collaboration, can do for the galaxy." Behind them, the station's lights pulsed in time with distant ships launching toward new worlds. The summit's first move had been made. Now, a ripple of hope would spread faster and farther than any force of arms.